What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery, welcome back to my channel. What I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a practical level so that you can use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real, actual results, okay? Simply by observation, okay? That's the goal. So without further ado, let me give you a little bit of a context so that you know who I am and you know who you're getting this information from. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz, and I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the Kabbalistic tree, being the front and the back side. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 archetypal paths of the Kabbalistic tree, connected to the tarot. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in regards to astrology. Okay, once again, that was just to give you a little bit of an extra awareness of who you're getting this information from, letting you know that first and foremost, I am actually a practitioner, someone who is skilled at the craft. Okay, I'm not somebody who's just sitting back reading a bunch of books spewing information. Okay, so with that being said, the topic of today's video is going to revolve around vampirism, and it's specifically going to revolve around vampires and what exactly are they and different levels of being a vampire, or we could even say different levels of vampirism. So if you want to know a little bit more about being a vampire or what vampirism is and the different levels that go with it, then this is definitely your video, so I would recommend staying tuned. Okay, so let's jump in. Okay, so when it comes to vampirism, let's start with this. Let's talk about what vampirism really is, okay? Because we have this Hollywood idea of what vampirism is, which is like this monster, half human, half demonic creature, essentially, that has really long fangs, that goes and physically bites people, sucks their blood, and needs that to survive and essentially be immortal and can basically anti-age. Now, I'm not going to throw the entire idea of that out the window, but what I am going to say is that in regards to a physical human that has really long fangs that goes and sucks the blood of other humans to stay, to live longer, that's not true. In regards to time-like space or the astral plane, you definitely can develop fangs. You definitely can essentially suck blood of other human beings or other creatures. And you can use that blood on the astral, which would be symbolic of bioplasm. That would be the energy that's behind bioplasm that can energetically enter your physical body from doing this in the astral plane. So there are some real properties to that, and that's essentially what vampirism is. It is more so it is an aspect of your lucid viewing body, your daemon, your astral, you could even say astral double. Sorry, I just got a phone call. So as I was saying, it is an aspect of your other being, your astral body. That can develop these very similar qualities that we do see within Hollywood movies that project the image of what a vampire is. So I'm not gonna, once again, I'm not gonna throw the entire idea of like a creature that literally has fangs and has bat wings and can suck the blood of other, beings to gain power. I'm not going to throw that all the way out the window. In regards to physical reality, here physically, that is not what's happening. It's not true, and that is not advisable for sure. But in regards to the astral plane, it is very possible, and it does 100% happen. So let's start with that context. Now let's go into what is the energy dynamic of a vampire. Okay, what exactly does that mean, to be a vampire? Well, simply, being a vampire just means being ultra receptive. Receptive to the point where you develop a deep knowing that by being receptive, you're gaining more knowledge, understanding, wisdom, which equates to power. So you're essentially getting more energy the more receptive you are. Vampirism is all about being magnetic, pulling in. Okay, what is the female nature? The feminine current of energy is vampiric. It is magnetic in nature. It is receptive. It embraces to observe and then receive. So vampirism simply is that same concept. That's literally what it means. It's universe B in nature, subjective in nature, realizing because the more subjective you are, the more you can be receptive because you're not locked into the five senses. You're open to all possibilities, which is an ultimate state of being receptive. Now, being a vampire, you understand the power of receptivity. So vampires will consciously have an awareness, whether it's, once again, actually, whether it's conscious, subconscious, or unconscious, they will have the awareness, or I should say we will have the awareness, that we are gaining knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power from being receptive, which fuels us the more we pull in, the more we receive. So we're always open to that degree. We're not always concerned about pushing out energy. Like, it's gotta be this way. I gotta control the immediate environment. It's gotta be like this. We're just receiving, and we're allowing ourselves to develop power by receiving, which actually really does increase the vampire's power, because the vampire operates in the realm primarily of the unconscious and the subconscious, which actually has a much stronger influence on the world around you. So that's the realm of the vampires. So that's essentially what it is, being able to receive. There's nothing evil about it. Yes, the darkness that comes behind being a vampire is simply the same darkness that comes behind the feminine current of energy, which is receptive by nature. So anyone who's a vampire, whether you're a man or a woman, you are essentially hyper receptive. You're somebody who's aware of the power within receptivity, and you embrace it to increase your power. You're not pretending like it's not helping you. You're not pretending like it's not benefiting you, and you're not acting like you need to push things all the time and force things and control your reality all the time. Once again, the vampire is always receptive, knowing that the more they receive, the more powerful they get. Now, there may be some people that say, oh, well, that's selfish. You know, why would you do that? Well, you know, there's different levels of vampirism. There's different types of vampires, and it can be selfish if you're not focused on your own personal evolution. The whole purpose of being a vampire and actually being the most powerful vampire has to be balanced out with some sort of, you could say, positive current of energy, or a different polarity rather than the negative pulling in, which simply falls along the lines of linking with evolution itself. So if you're somebody who is hyper aware and hyper receptive, and you're aware that that gives you power and knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, then if you're that person and you link with your own evolution, so that means everything that you're pulling in, all the energy that you're gaining is going towards your own personal evolution. Now you're becoming a very important person in regards to the world in general, the mass collective in general, because you're aiding in evolution, but you're also aiding in your own, you know, developing your own personal power. So that would not be selfish. That would be a very prominent and a very strategic and beneficial, energetic way of being, to be that type of vampire. And that's actually one of the most powerful states. If I would go as far as saying the most powerful state that you can get into is becoming a vampire, energetically speaking, but linked to evolution, to source. Okay, I call it source vampire, where once again, all the energy you're sucking in, everything you're receiving is going towards your own evolution, which is the principle as within, as without, which naturally, by sort of like a paradox, affects the world around you. But the vampire is only focused on their evolution, but naturally the byproduct is it's pushing the mass collective into further states of evolution as well. So it really is the ultimate state. Now, if we were looking at a different level of vampirism or a vampire, we have all ran into somebody at some point in time that fed off of negative emotions. Okay, we've all ran into somebody that has tried to take your time and your energy simply to get you into a state of lower energy to then feed off of that lower energy. Or there are some people that will purposely trigger you and cause disrupt in your state of awareness. And when they get you triggered and you get angry or you get upset and you try to defend yourself, there are people that feed off of that, once again, negative emotion and negative energy, essentially. They feed off of that type of negative energy, those outbursts. And a lot of the times, these types of people, they're only doing it because it makes them feel better. So when they can trigger you and then they fuel themselves off of your reaction, all it's really doing is giving them more energy to feel better about themselves. So instead of the source vampire taking in the energy, putting it towards evolutionary purposes, with this type of vampire, this is a person that takes your energy from getting triggered, takes the energy from your reaction, and then uses it to fuel their self-importance or their ego. Okay, there are two different types of vampires, and there is a huge gap between these two. Okay, there are a lot of people out there that are these types of vampires that will feed off of your negative emotions and your reactions. And I'll go as far as saying most people you encounter are like that to some degree. There are a lot of vampires out there that you may not have been consciously aware of from an energetic basis. But, after watching this video, I'm sure it will probably come to your awareness, a little more clearly, because there are a lot of people that thrive when other people are upset or when other people are triggered, and then you can get that chaos reaction out of them and take it in. Just to fuel their own self-importance and their own ego. Like, I made that person triggered and now they're giving me all this negativity and that's making me stronger. Personally, that's something that I can't relate with, and I don't relate with, because there's no evolutionary backbone to that. It's just, you're causing triggers in other people, you're causing chaos in other people to then fuel your own chaotic sense of self, which leads to degradation eventually. So you constantly have to trigger people, and then you get fueled, and then you got to do it again, and that is just that is not a path of power. You only get to a certain place with that level of vampirism or being a vampire. But when you add evolution to being a vampire and you become a source vampire, you are feeding off of all kinds of energies. You're feeding off of good, I don't want to say good and bad, but you're feeding off of evolutionary energies. You're feeding off of destructive energies. You're feeding off of source energies. You're feeding off of literally everything. And it's all going towards your source potential, your highest ability to achieve your highest potential, which is literally the ultimate state to get to your highest potential, because you're constantly pulling in the energy to fuel you on the fastest track to getting to your highest potential, spiritually speaking. And in that process, you're also, because you're linked with source, that means when you come across other people that are not in alignment with evolution or are not in alignment with source, you will take the chaos out of them, which is obviously going to be uncomfortable for the other person, but it also gives them an opportunity to start developing themselves if that's something that they want to do. Because when you suck the self-importance or the ego and the chaos out of another person, then it leaves them in a state of, you know, nothingness. It leaves them in a state of having to contemplate, who am I and what am I? And they can either choose to rebuild up their ego again, or they can choose to allow themselves to flow into their evolutionary journey. So it does give that evolutionary push to it, being an ultimate source vampire. But yeah, that is, you know, the main purpose of this video was to draw awareness that there are different types of vampires that exist. The type of vampire that feeds and fuels their self-importance off of triggering other people, that is going to be a really low-level vampire. That's somebody that is just, like, compared to being an evolutionary source vampire, there is no comparison. They're not on the same scale. Meaning the source vampire has way more power than a regular person that just feeds off of negative emotions. Because the source vampire carries the power of evolution, of source itself, and it rules over chaos. Okay? The other type of vampire, I'm going to say the lesser vampire, they're just feeding off of chaos to add to their own chaos. So all you got to do is take away the chaos, and then they'll naturally degrade. So they're not that strong or powerful. But the lesser vampire actually is more powerful than the person who is not embracing their spiritual self-development and is going around like love and light is the answer. Because the lesser vampire looks at those people like they're, you know, their food. And they will thrive more than those love and light people that try to be positive all the time and try to think positive thoughts all the time. And people that are in that frame of thought that don't understand how energy actually operates. So the lesser vampire will really fuel themselves off of those types of people. So yeah, so that was the main concept of this video, was to draw an awareness to these two types of vampires that exist. Now, when you run into source vampires, that is very rare. It is very rare to run into an actual source vampire. Somebody who understands how to be very receptive and also is primarily focused on their own personal evolution. It is extremely rare to come across somebody that is like that. But when you do, you will never forget that person. They will leave a permanent mark in your conscious awareness, because you'll never have met a person like that before. They act different, they talk different, they receive different, and they focus on evolution, which is, just to add into the mix, you know, already a rarity. You know, it's rare to find someone that's primarily just focused on evolution, and then to add on top of that, somebody who embraces the chaotic, the dark side of evolution as well, and sucks energy out of that, you know? So they're very rare to come across. The lesser vampire, you're going to meet these people on a daily basis. There are going to be some that are in, you know, higher degrees, and there are going to be some that are lower degrees of lesser vampires. Kind of depends on how long they've been doing it. Yeah, but the moral of the story is the lesser vampire, they're lost in chaos, and that they can't sustain that lifestyle, and it will end in their degradation. So, yeah. So that's the concept. What I really wanted to make clear for this video was what exactly is vampirism, and what are the different types of vampires, because we hear this word thrown out a lot, especially in the occult, and really I just wanted to make it clear that it's an energy dynamic, and it has literally to do with being magnetic and pulling in energies, and, you know, essentially being ruthless when you do it, you know, pulling in all types of energies, like, you know, pull in whatever will increase your power, but make sure that you're using it for your evolution. Because if you're not balancing it out, right, if you're pulling in all this energy and you're just fueling your self-importance and your ego with it, you're going to see how that affects you. You're going to see how that leads to your own degradation. So, you know, focus it towards your purpose primarily, and building your empire, building your kingdom, or whatever it is that is in alignment with what it is that you want to create here. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to say. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. Also hit the notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can. And hit the subscribe button as well, because I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. Okay? For those of you that want to gain access to exclusive content, definitely go and check out that first link in my description. That is going to take you to my Patreon. I have 4 tiers altogether on my Patreon. The first is just going to be support. The second is going to be giving you access to exclusive content, specifically content in regards to Kabbalah, which is the entire backbone of the occult. Very valuable content. In order to be a tier 2 member, it costs $9.95 a month. But if you do the math, that will literally come out to less than $1 a day. So there's truly no reason why you shouldn't be able to afford that with the value that I have on there, okay? So that will be the second tier. The third tier is going to give you access to a magic training course where it's actual practical magic, starting off with necromancy, and then we're going to move into angel magic, Ars Goetia demon magic, and then casting a spell. Okay, so you'll gain access to that at tier 3, and that will be $25 a month. Okay, and then for tier 4, it's an actual service that I perform for you called the Vampire Service. So what I do for that service is it's a very profound ritual that I perform for you, very strategic, and it incorporates, you know, pretty much all of the symbolism and the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I have to perform this service successfully. So I do it on the 29th of every month, and it's specifically programmed to completely change your energy field permanently, to be more so Universe B dominant, where you can then pull in energies from chaos, increase your power to control your reality, or to be the master observer of your reality, which naturally fuels your own evolution because you're more receptive, you're more open to what you may not know, rather than being more Universe A dominant, more objective dominant, where you feel like you have to control things and you end up giving energy away to chaos, fueling chaos. So that's what the tier 4 is geared around, is an actual service that I perform for you on the 29th, connecting it to the number of 11, 2 plus 9, DAF, the hidden gateway. If you want to know a little bit more about that service, you can go to the top of this video. Once it's over, I'm going to have it pinned so you can see what that service offers and everything of that nature if you're interested in it. That service is going to be $50 a month, and that is going to be a reoccurring payment as well. Okay, so if you're interested in that service, then definitely look into that and check out the video if you want more information. Okay, without further ado though, I would like to give a special shout out to all the top tier members specifically that have the service. Their names are going to be mentioned in the parentheses below that Patreon link. So huge shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I highly appreciate you for taking your practices specifically to that next level. That is always amazing and that is awesome. Okay? Now the next shout out I would like to give is to all of my Patreon members in general for taking your knowledge to that next level. Okay, there's not many people that are doing that, so it's always going to be very valuable to take advantage of that type of, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So huge shout out to you. Then a third shout out to all of my YouTube subscribers that are really taking in this content and allowing it to change their perspective on the world around them. You know, that's also very big. So huge shout out to all of you. Okay. Next thing that I'd like to draw your awareness to is the second link in the description. That is going to take you to Square Appointments, is what the link says. And there you can book a tarot card reading with me, where I can literally locate where you are on the Kabbalistic tree of life. So far, I've done about 100 readings, and every single one I've been able to clearly pinpoint, and it's been pretty phenomenal, and it's fun doing these readings as well. So, yeah, check out that second link. If you'd like to know where you are currently on your evolutionary journey, then I would recommend booking a tarot reading with me, okay? Now, the third thing I'm going to draw your awareness to is going to be the third link in the description. So the third link is going to take you to where you can become a YouTube member, which gives you access to an exclusive badge, which is the Moon badge. And the Moon carries lots of receptive, feminine, energetic influence behind it as well. That's why I have it as the Moon. And then it will also give you access to exclusive emojis that are ritualistically programmed for my YouTube members. Okay, I'm actually going to be releasing a whole video that explains what it does. So yeah, so if you become a YouTube member, you can also use all those emojis, and you have your badges for when I do live streams, so it can show me that you are a YouTube member, and you will get special recognition for that as well. So yeah, other than that, that's going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.